Representative Mark Alford from the great state of Missouri. Congressman, the pilots and the B-2 bombers who bravely flew that mission to destroy, obliterate Iran's nuclear sites, they took off from Whiteman Air Force Base, which is in your district. I mean, talk about the pride that your fellow residents there, the Show Me State, feel right now of knowing what they did.
Well, Mark and Charlotte, thanks for having us on. Yeah, we are extremely proud of the men and women of the 509th and the 131st, which is actually a National Guard unit. They both fly these jets. There was originally 21 of them built back in the 80s. We had commissioned or authorized some 147, but when the Berlin Wall fell and the Cold War ended, we didn't really see a need to spend that much money, and so we reduced that number. But a lot of pride at Whiteman Air Force Base for these men and women who flew these 36-hour sorties. And let me tell you a little bit about this mission. These planes were loaded down with two 30,000-pound bombs, okay? They couldn't even take off with a full tank of gas in their jets. They had to get up and then be refueled pretty quickly after they got off the ground, and then continue to be refueled on the way over there and on the way back. It was not just the pilots, it was the men and women on the ground, the air traffic controllers, the maintainers that made this happen, all under the direction of Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, this is incredible. And we heard the details yesterday about this mission and about what they were able to accomplish. And we know the administration has been dealing with the leaks, the misinformation, the different headlines from other media outlets about what this mission was or wasn't. What did you make of what we saw, specifically from Pete Hegseth and him delivering that message yesterday and really commending the job of these brave men and women?
Well, I think the Secretary of Defense was spot on, as was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. But really, Pete really laid the groundwork for really a prosecution of a corrupt media that it went way too far. CNN and others accepting this leaked, classified information, I think is a testament to what they're really about. It's not about America. It's about trying to take down Donald Trump as they did in his first term. It's very sad. We're going to have our briefing here in about 30 minutes, the same one that the Senate had. And we're expecting the information to be a little more robust and complete than we've had so far. But look, I'm okay with the information that they've shared so far. This was a strike. You may not use, or you may not like the term obliterated, but it certainly decapitated the snake of nuclear ambitions for Iran.
Yeah, it's really too bad. I remember cheering when Barack Obama said we got Al-Qaeda's leader.
Exactly.
They can't do it now. Okay, Congressman, I do really want to move on now to the one big, beautiful bill. The president hopes to get it on his desk 1 week from today. Senate may start here soon, deliberating on it, leading to the vote-a-rama. It looks like a rough road ahead, because even if the Senate does get it passed, you guys have got to still agree to it. Where do we stand right now?
Yeah, we're waiting on the Senate, the parliamentarian who figures out what's legal and what's not under the Byrd rule, because we don't have to have 60 votes in the Senate to get this done. That's why we do things through this reconciliation package. She had kicked out and accepted once again Medicaid payments for 1.4 million illegal aliens. How is that right? There are some other things that they're working through now, trying to reword some of these provisions that would be acceptable to this parliamentarian, who I think ought to be fired anyway. I think she's pretty partisan over there in the Senate. But that would just slow down the process. The Senate's going to do its job. They're going to be working through the weekend. We're going to go home for a couple of days, but we are on standby. We've got our flights booked for early next week to come back here and vote on this package after the Senate passes theirs. And our hope, as it's always been, is to get this on the president's desk, possibly signing in the Rose Garden on Independence Day, the biggest tax cut savings for working class families in U.S. history.
And just about 30 seconds left, and we know there's been no shortage of stories from legacy media outlets claiming that the bill is on life support, that there's too much infighting for so many reasons. But can you set the record straight? How unified is the party right now behind the president's agenda and getting this bill done on time?
The Republicans in the House conference are very strongly in formation to get this done. I know there's some concerns from some in the Freedom Caucus who don't want provisions stripped out that the Senate was going to strip out. But look, the House, we've been in control. You know, the Senate wanted originally 2 different reconciliation bills. We insisted on one because we knew how hard it would be to get this done, and we won that. The Senate's going to have to do their jobs now, come alongside the U.S. House under the leadership of Mike Johnson, and get this done, not for us, not for the Senate, but for the United States of America and Donald J. Trump. This will be a lasting legacy for his administration.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.